All right. Evening, everybody. Yeah, so I misplaced my glasses somewhere, so I'm glad I brought like 2 extra pairs. Maybe this will help me a little bit. All right. So tonight I'm going to be illustrating a few different things. So what serving is to a Christian, okay? I will be illustrating ways to serve that we will be observing in Scripture. And I will be illustrating how important perspective is on serving. So, and that's partly why. We're going to look at it through a different lens, okay? But right now I'm feeling kind of silly. Maybe I'll take these off, okay? So let me first start by illustrating to you what serving as a Christian could be, or some questions that can propose that. So what can be said when it comes to serving as a Christian? Can we talk about the way that Christians talk to those that they serve? Can it be the methods that they choose to serve in? Who are we supposed to serve? You know, is it just ourselves? I don't think so. So what about the ideals? What ideals should we strive for with serving others, serving Christ? You know? What's fairly encompassing with most of this is how we speak, different things that we talk about. So I want to go through a list of 10 different things and explain each of them thoroughly. So first I want to talk about is truthful speech. So if you turn to Proverbs chapter 6, we're going to look at verse 17. And I absolutely love the book of Proverbs. It's given me a lot of very strong practical lessons. And I love to be able to use this book for this lesson. So in chapter 6, verse 17, it says, "A haughty eye, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood," like it describes that, which is a condemnation, all right? We shouldn't be haughty in our eyesight, our outlook, our lens. We shouldn't be seeking violence. And we shouldn't lie. And the practical lesson from that is that communities don't tolerate liars. Most of us wouldn't tolerate a liar in our friend circles. All right? But rebuke with that has a different method, okay? But when a liar is brought up and is brought in a community, most of the time a disposition happens, where the community can bring an honest and reliable trial of that person, be it just a normal conversation. What happened? You're talking about this event happened, but I know many other people that were there. Nothing happened. So the community will sort itself, all right? The same way as our congregation does, the same way as Christ does with us, okay? In the book of Ephesians, if you turn there to chapter 4, in Ephesians, Paul commands the church in Ephesus to speak truth to their neighbors. And so in the book of Ephesians, it says in verse 25, "Therefore, laying aside falsehood, speak truth to each one of you with his neighbor, for we are members of one another." All right? We're all family here. We tout it. We tout it from the pulpit in our own daily lives. I've talked with many of you outside of this congregation in these 4 walls. We love our family. We love our family here. So wouldn't it make sense to be honest with one another? All right? So In John chapter 8, verse 44, the devil is described as the father of lies. And we've been told many times we can't serve two masters. We should only have one Father, all right? And that's the one above. An honest Father, one that loves us and considers us family, not one that tries to bring us down or bring us against one another. All right? I want to go to my next point, which is speaking in faithfulness. All right? The faithfulness that we show to our brothers and sisters is led through love, one of the greatest commands that we have. And it's one that every family should strive for. All right? We rebuke through our faith for the betterment of others. Flattering statements bring no just reward, but shallow words and empty hands. And that's illustrated in Proverbs 27, verses 5 through 7, if you turn there. And so Proverbs chapter 27, starting in verse 5, it says, "Better is open rebuke than love that is concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of the enemy. A sated man loathes honey, but to a famished man any bitter thing is sweet." Elaborating on that, I described those unflattering words as salted. Salted words are hard to hear, though they are honest in what they are. Using sweet phrases without substance and understanding brings confusion and shows a dishonest nature, unlike those who speak the harsh but needed words. In Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 5, all right, redemptive love is the goal of faithful rebuke. We're not trying to send people away. We're trying to change the behavior, to bring people into the fold, to get them to bring them to an understanding. And that's what it means being faithful. Being faithful to continue wanting to serve people for their betterment. That's why we serve one another here. That's why we serve God. That's why God served us, why he gave us such grace. He wants the best for us. And we should continue in that. So that brings me to my next point. All right, rebuking sin and heresy openly. All right, our commendation is through not compromising our faith. And I would like everybody to please turn to 2 Corinthians chapter 10, if you may. So starting in verse 5 of chapter 10 of 2 Corinthians, it says, "We are destroying speculations and every lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of God, and we are taking every thought captive of the obedience of Christ. And we are ready to punish all disobedience whenever your obedience is complete." All right? Standing up for what the gospel says and making sure that it's an honest statement, being prepared, being informed and wise. So when I had mentioned how I absolutely love the book of Proverbs and how many life lessons it's given me, that's wisdom well beyond my years. And it's at my fingertips and it's at everybody else's if you have the word. All right? And that's why it's so important to bring that word to other people, so that they can earn that wisdom the same. My next point, right, to speak with gentleness. All right, civil speech laced with kindness and respect are Christian values to uphold. In 1 Peter chapter 2, 17, and also in chapter 3, verse 15, Peter exhorts God's people in courageous and equally civil. Peter exhorts God's people as courageous and equally civil, treating each individual with dignity. Within Titus, the book of Titus in 1 Timothy chapter 3, gentleness is a qualifying characteristic of viable church leadership. As such, the body of Christ, meaning the membership who have dedicated their lives through the new covenant, should strive to keep the love that was bestowed to them by keeping the commandments. I can't imagine a leadership that wasn't gentle at heart. I can't imagine one that would compromise our faith. I can't imagine one that would speak false words. I can only imagine one that would be honest with us. Shepherd looks after their flock. All right, they serve that flock. And in the same way, the sheep serve the shepherd. It's not a one-way street. It's always been a two-way. And that's an important value I don't think we should ever forget. So, I had brought up earlier about being wise and informed. This is my next point. All right, the scriptures have commended time and time again to the wise and informed, as decisions have been made and words decisively chosen. The tongue has great power, burning in a world of iniquity. It's been set among our members and set on fire the course of our lives, and is set on fire by hell. All right? Angry words, all right? When Brother Mark ended up leading the song Angry Words. Let our tongue not be unbridled. Let it be controlled. Let our words be decisively chosen. All right? And let us be commended for that. To know that we're not liars. To know that we are honest, that we love openly. All right? And we do that through action. All right? Faith without works. All right? We've talked about that many a times from the pulpit here. Many a times in just personal conversation, I hear it. All right? Faith without works is incomplete. All right? Oh, and what I said as far as the tongue being set on fire, that's from James chapter 3, verse 6, for anybody that wishes to write that down. So we should pray that our words and hearts be full in serving God and not our own presumptuous desires. The Lord knows our hearts, so let us be wise to the Lord and give our servitude to Him, who we love, because He first loved us. My next point is that the mouth is a gauge of the heart. And please turn to Luke chapter 6. And I'll be reading verse 45. And it says, "The good man out of the good nature of his heart brings forth what is good, and the evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth what is evil, for his mouth speaks from that which fills his heart." Many years ago, we had a Lads to Leaders convention talking about where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. All right? And the main theme was very much keeping our desire on what was good and not what was evil. To consider the possibilities of what we're thinking of, the actions that we choose. Okay? So I continued. Words directly correlate to the desires we have. The tongue must be bridled to not speak out of turn or of ill intent. We speak with the love of one another as we are commanded. These ill statements that will have no room to bear against the good that comes from the good treasure of our hearts. The Christian mind's in constant need of renewal of the good word, meaning the gospel, and should be sought in order to continue being the sacrifice to God as we are commanded. Right? My next point is the integrity of our words. The words we say and choose can seem arbitrary at times, flippant in use and for the desire of specific outcomes. All right? We often can hear in mid-conversation we have phrased as oversharing, or conversation, what we have phrased as oversharing. That's when more information than a person should be privy to is revealed openly and without discernment. Often through evangelism, we can see this happen. Too much information shared too intensely and with too much underlying pressure. Everybody learns at a different pace, all right? And it's important to meet people where they are. Because if I were to talk to somebody completely out of the scope of Christianity or religion, and I talk to them as though they were on Paul's level, that would go well over their head, and the conversation would pretty much be dull. It would almost be one-sided. So the information we share should be considered and vetted through a thoughtful process of whether the information is helpful or harmful and how much should be shared to contribute to the other's growth and not push them away. All right? Serving others is for the betterment of them. It's not about us. It's about them. All right? Serving in full nature is about others. A conversation I had with Paul years back was about not spreading yourself too thin. And the illustration that he gave me was having a pail full of water and going around and giving everybody a glass of water. All right? So as everybody else got a glass of water, eventually you ran out of water from your pail. And so you go to get yourself a drink finally, and there's nothing there. All right? So I say that serving is not about us, all right? And that's in the full scope. Make sure that you have prepared yourself first before you serve others. Because you can't go into something half-willed. You need to come in fully prepared. As a carpenter, I can't go on a job site without tools. I can't even go on a job site with only a measuring tape and think I'm still going to go to work. I need everything I can. So this brings my next point, okay? Humility. To serve others with it and to speak with it. To know that we're not the smartest person in the room all the time. I consider it for myself most of the time. I'm around way too many professionals. I'm just a carpenter. And so what I have to say on that is that often through lessons prepared, we have heard how the meek and humble will succeed through the generations. The prideful and arrogant will be swept away, leaving the last is first and the first is last. What does this say about us as we consider it through the lens of how we speak to one another? Right? As I have attended lectureships and various business meetings to learn how to better manage leadership within my career, I learned a crucial aspect of conversation. People wish to be heard and understood. I've learned much about deciding the best moment to interject, the best moment to look people in the eye, to following a hand gesture, to even replying with a head nod. All right? The Bible has the greatest amount of wisdom that we can hold in our own two hands, and yet many try to outstep the boundaries and lessons that it gives, believing that they know more than what the Scriptures teach. Here's a fact. Scriptures have the wisdom and knowledge, and we illustrate different ways to act upon it. We do not know more than has been taught to us, and it should be understood as such. We have learned that the Scriptures are true by seeing the effects of the lessons in the world around us. The Bible is a book to bring people together and build relationships, not only with one another, but with the one who created us and saved us by mercy and grace, and foremost, love. All right? So, following love is my next point. Edifying speech. So, almost a month ago, I had the privilege of to bring a word to lesson within the Bible class that I teach with Curtis Jones. All right? And that word was edify. I had heard it many a times from the pulpit prior to this lesson, and it seems to be a word most people don't understand. And I know at a lot of the children's age, when I was their age, I never understood it. And so I figured I'd bring it to a front for them. So we normally hear the word from the pulpit as a brother, and teachers illustrating a lesson of love to us. And the context of edification described is normally that of an uplifting nature. The words we choose in support of one another and even in rebuke of the actions unfit for Christian living and devotion to God should be used to bring somebody closer to God and to us. The recognition that the conversation is directed toward love should be conveyed first. An example of that is, on my current job site, I work with a lot of young men and I work with a lot of old men. And oftentimes bickering happens between us, between myself and these guys, or those two groups together. And so most of the rebuke that happens is, hey, between them is, well, just do it the way I told you to. And it's like, well, why? Well, just because I told you to. Well, that doesn't work. So when I end up having to interject, the conversation turns into, I'm telling you to do it this way because that's how it's meant in the print. That's how we can ensure that we'll still have work and we're not going to get sent off the job site, to make sure that there's no conflict between anybody. Because I might be younger, but I'm still the person with the paper. I'm still the person that has the knowledge in front of them. All right? So the recognition that the conversation's directed towards love should be conveyed first. All right? I'm doing it for the betterment of you. I'm doing this because I care. I want to talk to you about this because I care. And so the words that we choose to use when we're talking to somebody very much has direction. So we should recognize the strengths of each other to encourage the good and illustrate how good overshadows the bad, and why these bad decisions shouldn't even entice. When we start every interaction with the perspective of wanting the best for each other, then there's no room at the table for the wrong and evil. All right? So now I want to talk about ways to serve. All right? So the methods that we choose to serve can vary, since each has their own talents and abilities set to their own strengths. Right? Some people have stage fright. Some people can't hit a certain pitch. You know, maybe there's some people that are just physically weak and they can't do something. So having a desire for the best outcome at the forefront of serving directs the actions to follow. Right? There's always something that we can do. There's always something. So serving in the community by helping somebody with their groceries, to raking up the leaves of our members as we do for Leaf Rake Day, to helping within the food bank, to maybe doing charity work, right? It could be something like that. Or even consider this. How about just talking to one another about our day? Actually inquiring about somebody because you care. That was a conversation I had this morning with the kids. How about we actually start caring? That's a conversation I've never heard from the pulpit outside of listening to Paul, is having that desire to care. All right? So those are only a few of the physical ways. Let's talk about some indirect ways. All right? How about directing those with questions outside of your knowledge to somebody wiser and more knowledgeable than you? Because we don't know everything. There's always somebody that knows. But directing them towards somebody that can help them is better than dropping the conversation where it's at. How about listening to when somebody speaks of a concern they have? Actually listen. Like we talked about active listening and passive listening. You know, active being concerned and trying to take in everything somebody says, and passive just being there while somebody just rants to you about something that you don't necessarily care about. So after they have their concern, how about we search for a way to help them? Sunday mornings and evenings when the sermon is finished, there's that invitation for people to come down. People come down every so often. How often do we think about what that person may need? Even though it's illustrated at times, hey, I need prayers. What else might they need? Consider that. I'm just losing stuff. So sometimes we serve in tangible ways, such as feeding our members who are sick, offering material items to those who have lost everything in a house fire or a flood, to giving clothes to those that may not have some. There are ways we serve. The ways that we can serve are endless. When viewed through a lens of love. All right? We also serve in the capacity to the service of worship. To those who present the Lord's Supper, our song leaders, those who present a sermon or a biblical lesson to the congregation, those who greet our visitors and show them what we do as a family. So as we tout family, as our overlaying message of our actions, it's crucial to continue it in our lives outside of the building and the property line. Let the love of our family be the center of our homes, relationships, and our lives. So, I want to talk a little bit about perspective now. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 12, it says, "For if the willingness is there, the gift is acceptable, according to what one has, not according to what he does not have." I had just talked about everybody having a talent, having something that they can do to contribute. And it doesn't always have to be something big. It can be something small, all right? The way a molehill turns into a mound is one piece at a time. Johnny Cash wrote a song about that. It's a great song. May not look as pretty on the outside when you're done, but tell you what, it still works. So what is the purpose of serving? Acting in the betterment of another selflessly. So why would we focus on the betterment of somebody else? Why do we want our spouses to be better off? Why do we want the best for our parents? Why do we want the best for a coworker, a friend? What about a stranger? You guys ever thought about that? Want the best for somebody you barely even know? So the psychology of service has been studied numerous times following different actions, helping with groceries, fixing something for somebody, to spending quality time with those who need company. Each act has shown a similar result in psychological effect, such as less stress and anxiety, all right? A heightened dopamine response, a feel-good response, all right? An increase in empathy and altruistic love, so a compassion for somebody. And stronger relationships. A relationship doesn't happen by not doing something, by not being active. You don't have a friendship without putting the work in. Most everybody wouldn't be married if there wasn't some kind of work that was put in. This congregation wouldn't still be together if we didn't put work in together. So do we remember Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? How about any special characters from it? Now, think about it when I say the word self-centered. You got a character from that movie you guys think about? Because I got one. Veruca Salt. All right? So she was well known as being somebody who demanded and commanded everything and sought no course of effort for it other than the feeling of entitlement that bled from her attitude. So the question here is, do we remember her fondly, or everybody couldn't stand her? So I don't think we do. She had no care for anybody other than herself. So what about a selfless character? All right? Who comes to mind? Do we remember Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? So what aspects of his character do we remember? Compassion, some empathy, caring nature. What about selflessness? So why do we remember that fondly? I can tell you why I remember him. Because he was an example of character that I wanted to keep and bring around others for myself. He taught in a way to where no action only benefited him. Currently, this thought is still a cornerstone of my personal faith and actions in my life. I can't make a decision without thinking, well, who else gets to benefit? I can't see myself doing anything without making sure somebody else is getting to share in it. So what about this phrase? You guys ever remember being told it? To find a good friend, you must first be a good friend. You ever thought of that? Well, let's replace the word friend, all right? To have a good spouse, first be a good spouse. To have a good leader, you got to be a good leader, you know? What about parents, okay? What about wanting a good father, you know? Something like that. So when we look past ourselves and seek the best for others, we find a motivation that spans over and past the restrictions of ourselves. The way we think changes, the things we actively do changes, the way we talk, the feelings we have. Serving is active, just as love is. So I want to conclude with this statement. If you're wondering to yourself what you're lacking in your faith, have you considered perspective? Have you taken a good look at the way you're viewing it? How many different ways have you viewed it? So when you change the lens that you view the world from, everything changes. So family, if you're seeking purpose, look around for some act of service, something to give you purpose. All right? Be active about it. If you're seeking supportive words, be supportive to another and ask for help. Every Sunday, more than willing. If you're looking for a leader, find somebody to teach you how to lead. This family is more than willing. In fact, we are striving to serve each other as we are able. I encourage us all to move forward today, with a serving heart and a willingness to love the Lord as we love ourselves and our families. So if you're seeking to come back, if you're seeking to be the person that you know somebody else needs, if you're looking for some way to help somebody, I recommend you come forward as we stand and sing.